As a Christian, I do have to disagree with you on the death penalty, and I know you used to be anti-death penalty, now you are pro-death penalty. I just want to ask why you switched over. Do you want to change and obviously stay in prison, but change their heart in prison so they can spend eternally with God? And
it's a great question. So
yeah.
Number one, we must remember before I say this that there are the three types of Old Testament laws. There's moral, there's civil, and ceremonial. Ceremonial we're not bound to. Civil we strongly consider. Moral we are bound to. Cool? So the only civil law, the only law actually that is repeated in all 5 books of the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the only law is that you will take a life if you take a life, meaning that the death penalty for murder. It's the only law repeated. Now that's a civil law that we must strongly consider. I'm going to give you an interesting argument you probably never have heard. We believe that all human beings are made in the image of God and are image bearers. If you allow murderers to live, it's an insult to the victim. You are basically saying that murderer has more rights than the person that they murdered, that they get to keep on having life, even though that they took the life from a victim. You're definitionally actually diminishing the victim and elevating the perpetrator. Not intentionally, but the only true actual statement of human equality is we care about life so much that the penalty to take a life is that we will give you the ultimate price and consequence because we care about human life.
I just feel like that if you look at God's character, he's just so like he's awesome, great, and his forgiveness. Like we do not deserve his forgiveness. We don't deserve to, be in.
But you still believe in a punishment for them. We're just disagreeing on
prison,
the punishment.
Yes, prison, of course. But I just, if you look at God's character,
but then why did God say to do it 5 times in all 5 books of the Bible? You got to wrestle with that one. Because this is not man's law. This is God's decree. If you take a life, your life shall be taken. And that's what changed my mind. As I studied the Torah more and more, it wasn't just once, it was all over. And the reason being is that the best explanation God would give, or the interpretations, is God values human life so seriously that you must have the ultimate cost and consequence for taking one of his children. What we find, though, is that when people lose loved ones, it's the greatest switch where they go from anti-death penalty to pro-death penalty, which honestly is a little bit frustrating because it shouldn't matter if a loved one actually gets killed. It should matter if any human being gets killed. And by not having the death penalty, you are giving the murderer an advantage that the victim no longer has. They should not continue to have life if they took life from somebody else. It's the most just thing that we could possibly do.
So that's a tough one right there. Like, how do y'all feel about that? The death penalty. Like, as Christians, should we allow that? I'm going to do a little bit of studying and probably dig deeper on this because, this is the topic of what's going on with Charlie Kirk. And so, it makes you think a little about different things a little bit deeper. And apparently Michael Knowles already stated that the turning point supporting the death penalty, even though they chose to forgive the killer. But, it does make you think. Might not necessarily give him a chance to turn and give his life to God. At the same time, just like Michael Knowles was saying, if God really seen something in him and if we were going against his will, he could stop it. So there's a lot of things to think of on that. And so things should be just and fair. And so this is a tight subject right here. I'll just say it like that. What do y'all think about this?